This is,
Go ahead and ask your question, Pam.
okay, I wanted to volunteer during the festival.
All right, you're on.
So, how do I find out what I'm volunteering for, and just come by your booth or something?
Yeah, I'm looking for people, particularly in the morning, and we can talk about that in a little while. But if
Okay.
you're available at, at 11 o'clock when we first open, that would be great. That's the slot that I'm looking for someone else to be there.
Okay, great.
I also want to find out about time slots.
Great. Well, okay, let's do that when we get a little further into our meeting. Because we're already recording. So welcome everyone to the June meeting of the Oak Grove Community Council. We're pleased to see everyone here tonight. Are there any newcomers, people who have not been to our meeting before? And if so, if you let us know who you are. Okay, so people that have already been with us. Let's begin by introducing the board. My name is Valerie Chapman, and I'm the chair of the board, and I live on Evergreen Street, a block from the trolley. Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark Elliott. I'm the vice chair along with Valerie, and I live on Riesling Road off of Concord Road.
Jane?
Jane Civiletti, treasurer, and I live at the intersection of Oak Grove Boulevard and Fair Oaks Ave.
Joseph?
I'm Joseph Edge, and I'm a board member at large, and I live in River Forest.
And Wayne?
Good evening, everybody. I live at Willamette View, and I live on River Road.
Great. Okay, and let's introduce other people. I invite you to give your name and the neighborhood or where you live. Pam?
I'm Pam Horan, and I live at Roseville.
Joyce?
Joyce Johnson, and I live on Gordon, right near Putnam High School.
Great, welcome. Linda?
I'm Linda Seals, and I live on Woodland Way, south of Oak Grove Boulevard.
And so the next person has a name of MCWMI, so that's not, if you want to give us a name. And
Hi, I'm Marilyn Wall. I live on Aldercrest.
Welcome. Rich?
Rich Nippon. I live on McCartney Lane, which is 3 blocks due south of the Fred Meyers Oak Grove.
We're really glad to see you tonight, Rich. Hammonds?
Okay, we're Tom and Jolene Hammond. We live on Viewcrest off of Wallace.
Welcome. Suzanne?
I'm Suzanne Wolf, and I live on Southeast East Avenue near the corner of Risley.
Carolyn?
Carolyn Stuckey. I am living on Chestnut Street, as close as you can get to Oak Grove itself.
Welcome. Baldwin?
I'm Baldwin Vanderbile, and I live 3 doors up from Stringfield Park.
Great. Jean?
I'm Jean Coberly. Well, there's also Jean Lofi here, but Jean Coberly at Rosevilla.
Okay, welcome. And the other Jean?
Hi, I'm Jean Lofi. I live at Rosevilla.
Welcome. Sue?
Sue Conahan, and I live at Parkview Circle and River Road.
Great. Welcome. Becky?
I'm Becky Stantz, and I live on Oak Grove Boulevard between Glory and Fair Oaks.
Great. Welcome. Gwen? Okay. Perhaps he'll be back. Ben, do you want to introduce yourself? Or...
Hi there. My name is Ben Cheney. I live over on Briggs, and just glad to hear what's going on.
Great. And we have guest tonight. So somebody who's just listened to guest, do you want to?
My name is Pat Callender. I live at Rose Villa.
Pat, nice to have you tonight. All right. Other than our speaker, did I miss anyone? Okay, well, welcome everyone. We're glad to have you here tonight. So let's do some housekeeping reports. Jane, do you want to give us a treasurer report?
I do, and it is very simple. We have had no incoming funds and no outgoing checks. So our balance remains exactly the same at $1,044.74. Again, you may make donations to the Oak Grove Community Council by going to our website and seeing the account number and going to any On Point Community Credit Union, and they will take your funds.
Thanks, Jane. The minutes went out with, well, both times. There was a link at the reminder sent yesterday, but then there was a copy of the minutes that went out last week. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? If not, we will leave them approved as they were written. Thank you.
Valerie, we
yes.
just get another member, but now they're gone. There was an iPhone.
That's Bob Bohannon, I think.
Oh, maybe it's Bob.
I think I recognized him for the moment that I could see his picture.
There it is. iPhone, are you there?
I'm pretty certain it's Bob, but we'll. Okay, if you haven't introduced yourself or let us know you're here, we can't put you in the attendance, but
It is
Bob.
It is. There he is.
Sort of.
Good. Nice to have you with us tonight.
All right. Thank you.
So let's move on to our first presenter. We have Carrie Shanklin from the fire department. She's been with us before. And Carrie, I'm sorry, I don't have your official title written down. Carrie is here. The other two names that we did have on the agenda. Carrie is with us tonight to do a fire safety presentation. So I'll let you give us the information that we lack.
Thank you so much. I think that Mark was going to help me share the slides. And so I really appreciate that. Sometimes I'm at home, as you can probably see with the door behind me, and sometimes our internet is a little funky. So I'm really happy that he's going to help do that. So my name is Carrie Shanklin. I love this group. I am a deputy fire marshal. I've been with Clackamas Fire District number 1 for about 17 years. Prior to that, I was with Gresham Fire. And so this is actually my 27th year in the fire service. So it is a wonderful job, and I just love what I do. So the first thing is just kind of a little bit of an introduction to Clackamas Fire District number 1. That's the fire district that serves your area. It is, whoa now. It's the second slide is great. The service area is about 228 or just a little more than that square miles. We now have 25 fire stations. We're providing a contract for service with the area around Sandy Fire and Gladstone. We have approximately 400 plus career and volunteer staff, and our call volume is about 30,000 annually, it ends up being about approximately 2,500 fire or emergency calls per month. Next slide, please. So this is kind of a little bit of a visual of what our fire district looks like. The green area is the Clackamas Fire District number 1, and then the pink areas are where we're currently providing contract for service. So next slide. And so we're considered, Clackamas Fire is an all hazards fire district. So from rope rescue to hazmat to water rescue to USAR, urban search and rescue, we have well-trained firefighters that can respond to all hazards. Our primary thing that we we do on the daily basis is operations and EMS. So each of our fire engines, when it comes to an emergency, is at least one paramedic per engine, per apparatus. And there's usually actually more than that. So just the previous slide. And then usually it's a 4-person company that we have. So at least one, but sometimes up to 4 paramedics per rig. We do specialty operations like rope rescue, technical rescue. And then also we have a new division since 2021 called the wildland fire. Prior to the wildfires of 2020, who would have thought that our area would be prone to wildfire risk? But that is just, things are changing. And that is one of the things that concerns us now. So we have a whole division dedicated to wildland fire. Fire and EMS prevention. Oh, I shouldn't say EMS prevention, but fire prevention and then EMS or injury prevention are also divisions within our fire district. And we really value trying to stop the fires before they start and stop the injuries and other types of calls before they even start. We're big on community outreach. I was just at a park today that someone said that they lived right by it, doing the North Clackamas Parks and Rec mobile and interacting with kids. We this weekend have a fire station open house. We have events all summer. So community outreach is really, really important. We do everything from kids to senior groups, fire and fall prevention. So that's super important to us. And then other services that sometimes we don't even know that we do, but that we are a multi-hazard fire agency. Next slide, please. So kind of what's new, Wildland Crew 30, we hire each year, like seasonally, usually from about April to October, a crew that is their specialty. It's their professional hand crew, and they fight wildfires. And they also do fuels reduction, and they can be deployed to bigger incidents. Currently, there is I think it's called the Darlene fire that is by Lapine, and we actually have deployed a crew for the it's a hard word to say, the Conflagration Act, that was declared by the governor, and so we have a crew there right now. Another thing that we're exploring and utilizing is VR training or virtual reality. Our EMS, and you can see him in the picture, coordinator, he got a grant for this virtual reality tool that lets in our emergency medical situations, maybe it shows situations that they might not necessarily be used to getting, or they're kind of anomalies. And so it's a really good training tool, and they're just starting to implement that. Again, our contracts for service with Gladstone Fire and Sandy, with those contracts for service, that has also expanded our outreach. They have a lot of schools and community groups that they really are glad that we go into and expand our outreach. We've started a community newsletter, so that is quarterly, and it's called The Siren. You can sign up for that. You can go to our website, clackamasfire.com, and you can click directly on the newsletter there. It kind of just tells of what's happening with the fire district. And I believe that you can also ask that newsletter be sent to you digitally. Our community paramedic program is expanding, and that is like if you think about calls that aren't necessarily 911 calls, but they're emergencies to people. Like say someone has come home from the hospital and they're not really, they don't know exactly how to deal with their medications, or it's not quite an emergency, but it could become one if they don't receive some sort of intervention or care. And our community paramedics are super awesome about getting out into the community and maybe help mitigating a big emergency, making it not turn into an emergency. Another program that we're exploring is nurse navigation. And that is, I kind of equate it, if you think about like when you call your doctor's office and they say, oh, shoot, you can't get in to see the doctor for, 3 months. but you can talk to our advice nurse and then she can maybe like steer you in the right direction. So it's a program that will help maybe triage emergencies, maybe prevent some of the emergencies from actually escalating to legitimate emergencies. So it's just something that's in the exploration phase right now. And then our emergency services levy, I have a whole slide on that. So next slide, please. First of all, thank you for your support. In the past 12 months, we have been able to increase staffing at 5 of our community fire stations. So station 1, 8, 14, 15, and 19 have gone from 3-person crews to now 4-person crews. And then sometimes people say, well, what is important about that? Well, firefighters are very they have a lot of safety precautions. And so when a fire engine goes to a fire, the only way that they are allowed to put firefighters into a structure is if they send 2 firefighters in, because they have to work in teams, then there have to be 2 firefighters out. So they call it 2 in, 2 out. And so that if they needed rescuing, then there's 2 people that could conceivably help them. So with a 4-person crew, they don't have to wait for the next arriving apparatus. They can just go in, and with any fire, it doubles in size every minute. And so being able to get right in there and put that fire out, sometimes it prevents a small fire from becoming a bigger fire. And that is the same kind of thing, like if a water rescue, they can't just put 2 firefighters into the water, the water hazard, they have to have 2 firefighters on standby. So the increased staffing lets the emergencies get handled a lot quicker. Medic 316 went from 12-hour shifts. So they were staffed for the day for 12 hours to a 24-hour shift. And that medic is busy. So that's a really good thing. And then, this one I'm really excited about. So this weekend, we're having a station open house for Station 13, which is in the Clarks area. So a super important like wildland interface station, and it is going to be staffed full time now. And so that starts July 1st on Monday, but we're going to have a little station open house this Saturday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And if that sounds like the lunch hour, you're right. Our fire chief will be cooking hot dogs and serving hot dogs at that. So please come out if you have nothing to do this Saturday. Come and see the grand opening, or it's not quite the grand opening, but it's our station open house. And then there have been several recent stories that have shown the benefits, like actual life-saving benefits of having increased staffing with firefighters. So within the next 12 months, we're going to be adding an additional rescue unit. So currently we have Rescue 3, which is at Station 3, which is Oak Grove Boulevard. And then we also have one, Hilltop Medic 16. And so what these are is 2-person, smaller units. They're quick response vehicles. And we are super excited to get another one. The new rescue unit is going to be at Station 1, which is close to the town center. And let's see. And then career staffing of Station 12. So that is going to be what's going to be implemented in the next 12 months. Okay, what percentage of your calls are responses to fires in progress? So we get about, this is somebody's question that just came up. She just wants to know like what ends up being working fire. We get about, I would say 52 to 65 working fires a year. And so it's about 1 per week that ends up being a working fire. And they don't always neatly distribute like 1 per week because you never know when an emergency is going to happen. But it's that, and in those situations, we send 3 engines, we send 2 trucks, a command vehicle, and it's just a full-on working fire. And then the implications from that, even though it's not one of our most frequent calls, that it's so devastating to the community, to it happens so quickly. And then especially if it's a fire fatality, it can be just so devastating. So sometimes you have to think about the impact of a call versus maybe the frequency of a call. Next slide, please. And then if you're just thinking, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. I really want to stay in contact with Clackamas Fire District number 1. How would I do that? Well, clackamasfire.com is our website, and we usually put things that are, kind of pressing or current on the, more toward the front, so you can click on things there. We also have someone solely dedicated to our social media. We have a Facebook page, Instagram, Twitter. Now that we have the quarterly newsletter, and so like if you want to get that, it's called the Siren. That's another way. And then please come see us at community events. We have coming up, we have our station grand opening. We have in July, we have Day in Damascus. We have the Gladstone Community Festival, the first week of August, National Night Out. We have our great Hilltop Safety Fair, which is September 14th. I'm really deeply saddened because I scheduled that and then realized that it is on the same day as the Oregon Duck game and the Beaver game. So I hope that doesn't affect our attendance, but you could come to the safety fair maybe and then go to the game. I don't know. And then you can just talk to us. If you have questions, feel free to call or email. So that is kind of a little bit about what's happening in the fire district. And then the next slide, I'm going to just talk a little bit about some of our safety things that we try to prevent in the summer. It seems like I get to see you in the summertime, and some of our very common calls are wildfire, barbecue and grilling safety, water safety, and fireworks safety. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about that. So next slide. Okay, wildfire prevention. So that is there's when you have a wildfire emergency, it's so intense. Like if you watch the news about what's going on and you think like, oh my goodness, is there anything I can do to, protect myself, or how can I prevent this? Well, of course, just general fire safety, just common sense, but also things that you can do around your house or your home is, of course, that the whole concept with the defensible space, that 30-foot zone of fire resistant space around your home. So wildfire is spread by embers generally. And so just trying to mitigate that by reducing flammable vegetation or ladder fuels, like the short grass that's 4 inches catches the shrub, which catches the, trees. And if it gets into the canopy of trees, then it's really challenging to put out. So eliminating the ladder fuels, keeping weeds and grass low, clearing wood piles away from your home, at least 10 feet, and then, or keeping the wood piles away from your home, and then keeping all brush at least 10 feet away from the wood and debris piles, keeping your yard and roof clean, cleaning out your gutters, removing overhanging and dead limbs from your roof or near your house, making sure that your address signs are visible. And then if you have a long driveway, especially just making sure that the firefighters can get to your home. So trim vegetation from that, choosing fire resistant roofing materials. So like, we're not necessarily saying like, hey, everybody needs to go change out their roof. But if you're up for, like you need a new roof, maybe choosing more fire resistant options such as composition roof or metal roofs. And then alternatives to burning include recycling or composting. Sometimes we get people's yard debris piles that they're burning them and they get out of hand. And then just knowing how to respond to wildfire, keeping a 72-hour kit, a checklist of what to take, and then knowing, what evacuation routes are, and then paying attention to the alerts. So it's, they have the 3 levels of alerts. We have the level 1 is being ready, and that's having a plan in place and understanding what you would take with you. Level 2 is being set, and that means being prepared to evacuate at a moment's notice, having what you needed loaded and ready to go. And then level 3 is go, and that's like, go now, please. We've all seen the people that have decided to, maybe stay behind, but the fires now are so intense. If they say go, it's pretty prudent to go ahead and leave immediately. And that also helps the firefighters not knowing that, they're not going to have to perform a rescue. So next slide, please. So of course, Barbie, I was reading these to my daughter, and then she was like, well, Mom, isn't this like kind of common sense? Using the grill only outside? And yeah, that's pretty common sense to me. But you'd be surprised at some of the strange calls that people go on. But of course, using them outside, we don't want anyone to succumb to carbon monoxide poisoning. That is a #1 cause of poisoning in the US. Keeping the area over the top and around your grill unobstructed. That means like keeping debris away from it, keep placing it at least 10 feet away from your house. A grill is hot. And so if it heats your house or it heats your deck or, what it's really close to, that can ultimately start a fire. Make sure it's on a flat surface so it doesn't tip over. Checking the gas lines for leaks. Sometimes if there's a leak in the gas line, it can cause the propane to kind of settle inside the barbecue, and that can be explosive. And so we always suggest open the lid before you light your barbecue. So in case that, propane has collected in there, it gives it a chance to dissipate a little bit. Just making sure you clean your grill after the use and empty the grease tray, and then try not to leave it unattended. If you have to walk away to get something, just say, hey, could you keep an eye on the grill? And then wearing appropriate clothing, like even I always think of people like with big bulky hoodies or, long drapey sleeves, even aprons, like making sure the apron strings are, like maybe tied behind you. And so like, we don't want anyone to catch their clothes on fire, but knowing what to do if your clothes do catch fire. The kids all know this, like stop, drop, and roll. But, if you get in a panic and try to run, and then it can make the fire worse. And then having an extinguisher close by is always good when you're grilling. So next slide, please. Water safety. I'm so grateful because and I don't even want to jinx it, but we haven't had a fatality in our area this year. And that makes me very relieved. The water's still really cold. So sometimes you get that hot day and then jump into the cold water and it can cause a water incident. So we really encourage people to learn to swim, especially if you have kids or grandkids. Learning life-saving skills such as CPR. We encourage people not to swim alone, swim with a buddy. You might yourself be a good swimmer, but then, you never know when you might need help. Knowing your limits and the depths of the water. So if you're not that strong of a swimmer, maybe don't go out to the middle of the river. And then watch out for the twos. If you're too tired, too cold, you're too far from safety, that you're too hot, you've had too much sun, too much rigorous activity, maybe that's a time to get out of the water. And then we really encourage people to swim in supervised areas where there's a lifeguard, following the signs and warnings. Definitely wear a life jacket when you're boating, jet ski, water ski, or fishing even. And then the current thing, this is, like it's kind of counterintuitive. Like if you get caught, that you always think of like the rip currents on the coast. It's really, really hard, even if you're a super strong swimmer, to, try to swim back in. But sometimes if you go parallel along the shore, then you can get back in somehow. And then if you're finding it hard to move around in the water, then, just head back into shore. Please don't dive in shallow water. If you don't know how deep the water is, please don't dive. And that kind of goes for jumping too. If you don't know what's beneath you or if there are rocks beneath you, then jumping off, the side of like high rocks or something that, like that's not really advised. And then just alcohol drinking, while you're around open water, it's sometimes not the best combination. So please don't. And then the next slide. Fireworks safety. Oh, joyous. So next week is the big fireworks. It's kind of the week and the stands have been opened. I haven't heard too much activity going on, but then definitely are the days before and the days following the 4th of July. It seems like people go get their fireworks going. So we just encourage people, like, of course, if you have an opportunity to go to a display and leave the fireworks to the professionals, we think that's awesome. But if you do light fireworks, please do it safely. We want you to read and follow the warnings and instructions. Be sure that people are out of range before you light them. So, just be in a situational awareness. Only light fireworks on a smooth, flat surface. not in the dry leaves or grass. That is a bad combination. Light fireworks at an arm's length. So, like you don't want to have your face or your ears or, too close to the firework, and then just one at a time. And then once they're lit, stand back away from the firework and don't throw them. There's a whole bunch of injuries that are like where people are, trying to light it and throw it, and then they get it close to their face, or they sometimes even can lose their fingers. And so just be really careful about that. And then this one's always a doozy for me because when you spend so much money on fireworks and then you maybe light it and it ends up being a dud and you just spent $20 on that firework, it's very, you might be inclined to go try to light it again. But if it, then, at that point it can, maybe the fuse is a lot shorter and maybe it's just about ready to go off. So try not to relight fireworks that have not fully functioned. My favorite safety tip, and I did this with my kids, that I'm totally a safety nerd, but this, like when they were in middle school, they said, we want to have fireworks. And so we did the keep a bucket of water close by. And then, so what, the people would light it and then you just douse it in the bucket of water. And it was really, kind of great. And then it's also there if there is a malfunction of a firework or if there's a fire. Sometimes we get fireworks caused fires by people putting it in like a plastic garbage can or a plastic trash bag. And so, just dousing it in that bucket of water can be really good. Wearing gloves can help prevent burn injuries when you're lighting fireworks. And then just use fireworks with extreme caution. Older children should be closely supervised. And this includes the most common injury in the burn center from fireworks is 18 to 25-year-old males. So be careful with your older children. And the younger children should just remember in the days when, we were young and they said like, hey, here's a really safe firework. It's those sparklers and they're, metal, this wielding brand of fire. Well, they are like 1200 degrees at the top of them. So just, be really cautious that you don't give too young of children fireworks to play with. And then, this is so sad to me, but according to the Humane Society, the number one day where pets get separated from their owners is the 4th of July. So the pets sometimes they're terrified about what's going on. And so just make sure that they're kept indoors because sometimes their inclination is just to run and then they don't stop running because the fireworks don't stop. So just be really careful with that. So that is the end of my little safety extravaganza. Does anyone have any questions? I really appreciate your time.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What kind of fireworks are permitted in our area?
Oh my goodness. Well, this is what I always tell people. If you have to go across the bridge to our state to the north, and they have less restrictive fireworks regulations than we do in Oregon. And so if you go across there, because their fireworks are awesome, then you come back to Oregon, there's a chance that they might not be permitted here. But they're not supposed to rise above, like they're not supposed to go higher than 6 feet or travel further than 6 feet. So if you think about, like bottle rockets, they are not allowed in Oregon. So if you buy fireworks at an Oregon firework retailer, usually there is a pretty good chance because their stands get inspected that they're permitted. But if it travels more than 6 feet in distance or 6 feet high, it is not allowed in Oregon.
Okay, and if you're in a neighborhood where there's lots of lovely displays of exploding fireworks over your head with sparks, are you supposed to call somebody? What?
Yeah, you can call the non-emergency number if it's like an imminent fire danger where you think, oh my gosh, that just got into the shrubs, then that you can call 911 then. But they definitely get a little bit overwhelmed at that night. But there is a non-emergency number that you're supposed to be able to call, and they get also pretty backed up. But sometimes it's just like, you just have to kind of like weigh, is this a true emergency, or is it something like, hey, I'd like to call the non-emergency number and kind of report this? I'm apprehensive about this, but yeah. Some people love fireworks and some people truly do not love fireworks. So it is, I kind of breathe a sigh of relief when that day, when it's over and the fireworks have stopped. And bless my husband's heart and soul, I don't think he realized how I felt about fireworks. And he proposed to me 25 years ago on the 4th of July. So, oh shoot, and we're still married. Oh, any other questions?
Okay. You must have covered it very, very thoroughly.
Or everybody's sleeping.
So, well, thank you very much for being here and doing a very thorough presentation and providing the slides. So thank you.
Thank you all.
Oh, and also, right at the beginning, Bob Bahana let us know the fire department was outside Rosevilla on Schroeder Avenue, putting out fires in the garages there and doing a very good job of it. So on duty, active tonight. So
oh my gosh. And then one of it just popped up. It said, are you aware of what's happened with the Elk Rock arson fire? And I don't know if there have been any developments about that. I'm sorry.
all right. Well, thank you again. And we
Yep.
look forward to when you're back with us, and maybe not so long, maybe not a whole year. So thank you.
Well, it's nice to see everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, so at this time, I am going to turn the meeting over to Mark Elliott, who's going to help us figure out who lives in Oak Grove.
All right, well, thank you, Valerie. I'm just for those of you who do not know, I happen to be on the District Advisory Committee for NCPRD and currently am the vice chair of the committee. And this year, NCPRD is in the process of developing, putting together their system plan, or what some people call a master plan, that will help us plan what the priorities and programs that the district wants to do in the next 10 to 20 years. And so this systems plan is being developed with a consultant out of San Francisco called DesignWorks. And DesignWorks has currently finished the first phase of this work, which has a lot to do with gathering data about this district itself. And so they have shared this information with the District Advisory Committee, and it's also available to the public. They'll be finishing this report here in September. So I wanted to share some information, preliminary information that's been put together by DesignWorks. It has to do a lot with the demographics of who lives here and what kind of people are here and what is the district made up of. And so this presentation is intended just to give you some of this information that I thought might be of value to people. And it's for myself, I think there were several surprises, and I'm hoping that there will be the same for you. So I'm going to just go through this presentation and hold questions until the end, if I may, and I'll just start from here. So the first question, agenda things we're going to talk about is, what is the purpose of the system plan and what is the schedule for it? And review some of this initial demographic and mapping information, and then what is next? What happens next? So the system plan is a 20-year roadmap for community-informed decision-making. And this will help the district set goals for the next 10 to 20 years on how they serve the district, how they spend the tax money that we collect, and where that money is going to be spent and what projects will be done. The timeline, this project started in January of this year, and this assessment has been going through now until June. And during this phase, second phase is when they're establishing community priorities through a community engagement process that I'll speak about here in just a moment. The third and fourth phases begin in September, where they actually develop the plan. And the fourth and final phase is where they are doing strategic implementation. So starting with some of the demographics, within our district, there is a total population of 106,739 people. The median age is 41.3 years, and median household income $79,765, with an average household size of 2.44 people. When you compare this against the entire county, you'll see that we make up about 25% of the population of the county. Our median age is slightly lower than the rest of the county, and our median household income is lower. Median being those at 79,000. There's half that are less than 79,000 and half that are above 79,000. And then that average household size, again, is slightly lower than the rest of the county. So some of the key demographics, it serves, NCPRD serves around 43,000 households with a 2.44 average household size. About 58% of the homes are owner occupied, 37% are rented, and 5% is vacant housing. And we've had about a 1.2% annual population growth from 2010 to 2020. And that I'm going to say is primarily because our area is very much built out. There isn't a lot of vacant land where large housing units are being purchased or being built. This next slide shows the density. So every dot equals 20 people, and you can see that the density occurs, a lot of that happens up in the Oak Grove area, the area around Milwaukee, and the area near Happy Valley. And this density becomes important later on when we look at the density in relation to parks and how easy or how hard it is for people to get to the parks. This is another map that shows that density in a different color. So the darker the color, the more people there are per square mile. So you can see the McLaughlin Boulevard. You can see that there's a little higher density than there is near the river. And again, Milwaukee is a little bit higher density, and some of our highest densities are occurring near the I-205 interchange or I-205 freeway, and also near Happy Valley. So age distribution, the median age of 41.3 is the average median age of folks that live here. The largest age group are folks between 25 and 34 and 35 and 44. 16% of the population is under the age of 14. And then this map you can see is showing that median age, sorry, we'll go back one, median age by location. So that you can see kind of the largest group of that is near the Clackamas River. Household income. So our median household income of $79,765 per median household, with 20.6% of the household income is less than $35,000 per year. The racial distribution is looking at white, Asian, Black, Pacific Islander, American Indian, and some other race. You can see from the bars here that the largest majority is changed over time. As far back as 2010, over 80% were white, and that number has continued to decline or has been declining up until 2023 and is expected to stay pretty stable until through 2028. The other percentages have not really changed that much over the period of time since 2010. Let's see if this next slide has a larger, yes, this one shows you some kind of the what they call the diversity index, and that would be based on the median income of the folks that live here. Next demographic has to do with the how well are people doing in the district. 10.5% of the households are with income levels below poverty level. That's the federal poverty level. 13.8% of households receive food stamps or SNAP, 27.3% of the households are with one or more persons with a disability, and 0.5% of the population that speaks only a language other than English. And 6.7% of the population have no health insurance coverage. Compared to the rest of the county, our household income below poverty level is higher than the average of the county. Our household receiving stamps is higher than the rest of the county, as well as the number of persons with a disability and the population of those that speak other language other than English, and higher than the population with no health insurance coverage. Those are called social vulnerability, and you can see the social vulnerability index. Very dark colors are where the index is the highest, whereas light color or white color is the lowest. So again, those are occurring along the McLaughlin Boulevard, up at the very tip near Milwaukee, and down near the Clackamas River. The next is showing the inventory of parks in the district. There are a total of 32 developed parks throughout the district, 7 natural areas or greenways, 13 undeveloped parks, and 3 community recreation facilities. So this is kind of showing those throughout the district in this map. As a part of this project, we are redesignating or classifying parks based on a variety of measures. And these are just for your interest and information. So a community park would be similar to the Clackamas Park. This would be a large park where you have a large number of people from a variety of areas that come to that park. A neighborhood park would be similar to Stringfield Park, where those who live nearby are the most likely to visit that park. A pocket park is a very small park. If you're familiar with Hawthorne Park, this would be a very small park where just perhaps only the neighbors within a certain area would use that park. A natural area would be, an example would be the Boardman Wetlands Nature Park. A special use area would be such as the Oak Grove Boat Launch. Trails and greenways would include things like the Trolley Trail, and a specific facility that would be something such as the North Clackamas Aquatic Park or the Milwaukee Community Center. This is just an example of how those different park types are defined. And I won't go over this, but just this information is available to the public at the NCPRD website. So based on these updated classifications, you can begin to see where some of these parks are located. It's kind of probably pretty hard to see on this screen, but the purpose of this is for us to get a better understanding of how density of people are based around these parks. And I'm hoping that the next screen will help us understand that a little bit more. But before that, this level of service is an indicator of how many parks we have and how many acres there are. So our total developed acres is 150 acres with an acre, 1.41 acres per 1,000 people. That's throughout the entire district. But then you come in to see that the numbers get pretty small as you get into pocket parks and special use areas. This map then shows an overlay of our parks in the dark green color, and then in the light green color indicates the area in which that park is accessible by folks in the neighborhood within a 10-minute walk. And the purpose of this is to start to show park deserts, I guess I would call it that. So you see where there's an area of white, so near the Clackamas River or in parts of the Highland Summit property over near the Mall 205. These areas are very, you can see that this is not accessible to anyone within a 10-minute walk. And this is important for us to look at in relation to the development of future parks that would serve some of these areas where you might say there is a park desert. So the next step in the analysis to do is what is called the level of service gap, and that is looking at those park desert areas with more specific information about what these parks provide and what is actually needed in those areas. They will also be doing a comparable community benchmarking. So this will look at 4 or 5 different park systems throughout the United States that are about the same size as ours with the same population and similar demographic, and seeing how they compare to ours. That would be not only in facilities and programs, but in tax base and in their budgets. We're also going to be doing a condition and quality assessment of every single park throughout the park system to see what condition it currently is in and how good of a quality of a park is it as far as providing services to the district. So I'm going to stop sharing there and take any questions that anybody has, and appreciate you letting me present that information. Hope you found it interesting.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, Susan Keel, I see you have a question.
My question, Mark, is are there county or state parks within jurisdiction as well?
Within the NCPRD, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Right.
there are a few. So there are county parks which are run by the county parks department. Excuse me, just lost my picture there. But and those, I couldn't name them off for you, but there are other parks within our district that are run by either the county or the state. I'm not sure there's very many of them, but there are 1 or 2.
And any city parks is like Meldrum Bar or something similar?
Right. So Meldrum Bar is part of the Gladstone Park system. However, the city of Milwaukee is within our district. And so the city of Milwaukee is building some of their own parks. And there's a couple of them that are being built right now that are hoping to be open here within the year. Those parks are funded by the city of Milwaukee, but they become part of the Parks District, and they are maintained by the Parks District after they are built.
Okay, thanks.
Are there other questions? Mark, I have a question about the slides themselves. There was such a lot of information on some of them. Is it possible to put a link to those slides on our website?
I believe there is, and I will do that. I'm going to need to get a authorization from the district. They may want us to wait until this report is complete here in September, but I'll see if we can do that.
Okay, great, thank you. Joyce, did you have your hand up?
Yes. So I'm wondering if the city parks or the state, or we talked about that there possibly are other parks within this area. Does that help the park desert areas, or do we don't have an overlay of that?
We do not, and that's a good question. I think it would be good to see that. I'm trying to think of any state parks that are within our area, and I'm coming up blank. But there might be at least 1 or 2 county parks that are within the NCPR boundary.
Yeah.
But that's a good question, and I'll be sure to ask that question of the consultants.
And I would also be interested in looking into more detail at the slides too. So
Yeah.
when and if that can happen, that would be
right.
It's interesting. It's a lot of information. I was trying to catch some of it. Yeah.
Right. And I'll be happy to come back probably September, October with that final report. There will be some additional information that we'll be able to share that might be of interest to folks.
Wayne.
I'm wondering, is there any an analysis of the specific parks as to what is included with the amenities of those particular parks?
Yes, that's part of the assessment that's going to be taking place in July. Is we'll actually do an inventory of each of the parks, and actually the consultant has been doing the same. where they have about 15 or 20 different elements that can be evaluated as far as, is there a playground? Is there a dog park? Is there a water feature? Are there bathrooms? Are there basketball courts? So all of those elements will be evaluated for each of the parks throughout the system. And that will also help us to understand, where are there deficiencies in, say, recreation facilities. Yeah, good question.
Mark, you said that in the NCPRD area, about 25% of the population of the county resides in that area. If you said that, I didn't catch. And what percentage of the land size is the NCPRD district?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think that I have that information, Valerie. As far as the land area, I'm going to guess that it's much less than 25%.
Yeah, I think, I was thinking that would probably be true, but it would be maybe important to kind of pay attention to that for us.
Right, that's a good question.
Other questions?
Not a question, but a couple comments. Thanks for the presentation, Mark. I think it's really informative, and it was, I've seen this information in the presentation or before, but I think it's helpful to kind of spend this amount of time on this information in particular. So thank you for doing so. I felt like this was really valuable. And then just as a kind of aside, I don't see any state or county parks that are in, certainly not in the Oak Grove or Jennings Lodge areas, but even within NCPRD district boundaries, I don't see any. So if anyone knows of any that aren't shown on the maps for the respective jurisdictions that are responsible for those parks, please let us know.
The county has a couple of really small pieces of property that are not developed into parks that are kind of scattered all over the county, and those don't always show up in a map, but I'm not really clear that there's hardly any within our area.
Certainly not within our CPO's immediate area.
And Rich, you made a good comment about please include art, theater, music in the recreation areas you look for. And yes, that's a very good point, Rich, that that will be something that's also looked at. I think one of the slides that I did not show you is that we are all invited to provide input on our thoughts and desires for the district as we look at our 20-year plan. And you can do that by going to the site that's called ncprdsystemplan.com. And if you go to that website, you will see a place for you to leave, to take a survey that's take you about 15 minutes to do that survey. And you can leave your comments and your questions within that survey. The survey is open until the end of July, and you're going to hear us talk about that again. We'll probably have Aaron from NCPRD will be with us in July to tell us a little bit more about that and encourage us people to sign the survey. And if you're coming to the Oak Grove Festival this Saturday, which I hope many of you are, NCPRD will have a booth there where you can also find out more about the survey.
Well, thank you, Mark. I thought that was really interesting information. I'm really glad that you were willing to share that with all of us. And if it is possible to get a link to that up on our website, that would be great. I think there was so much information you hardly knew where to focus in. You could spend some time on each slide.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for doing that for us. Okay, well, let's move on. Joseph, do we have anything with LUART tonight?
The short answer is no. Well, kind of, yes. But we did receive an application notice yesterday, and have not had a whole lot of time to process that. But it's it's pretty simple. It's a renewal of a home occupation for a salon on Nafe Road, and at the northwest corner of Nafe and Blanton. So anyway, we're taking a look at it because we do, but it's a renewal of something that had been previously authorized in 21, and you know, if it hasn't changed substantially, it's probably not going. You know, it'll probably get approved. You know, unless there's you know, any reports of them not complying with, you know, the terms, you know, the conditions of approval on the permit or anything like that. And you know, we often hear complaints when home occupations are not good neighbors, and this is not one that we've heard any complaints about so far. So anyway, if anyone has any information to the contrary, again, please let us know, because we only have less than 3 weeks from yesterday you know, to get a response in if we're going to. So anyway, that would probably be the only reason why this wouldn't be just approved, since it is a renewal, would be if something is if they're just really not complying with the terms of their existing permit. So yeah, that would be the evidence that we need. If anything were to change otherwise, you know, this is kind of a non-issue, I guess. So we'll see if anything's new next time.
Okay. Well, before we move on our agenda, I just want to take a moment and make sure that everybody who is here tonight, we have their name so that Jane is taking our attendance. Bob Bohannon is here, but now we have another guest. Do we know who the guest is? So if you are registered in as guest and that's your name, if you let us know who you are, we can in fact put you on our attendance as attending tonight. And also at the same time, we want to make sure that Susan Keel and Arlo are also recognized as being present tonight. So is there anyone there at the guest site?
Calling guest, calling guest.
Okay, well, all right. Okay. So that leaves a question. So let's move on. Well, what I'm going to do one other announcement before we do go on to committee reports. I had really hoped that Thelma Hager-Miller would be here tonight. She generally is, but she's not here tonight. But for those of you who know her, I just want to say that, you know, she is receiving from the North Clackamas Chamber of Commerce the Irwin Adams Lifetime Achievement Award tomorrow evening. So that achievement award goes to an individual who has committed extensive time, energy, and resources above and beyond the call of duty in bringing services and value to the community and residents. So I think Thelma is very deserving of this award. And I know that Mark Elliott and I think Suzanne, that you also are planning to attend the dinner tomorrow evening where she will receive that award. And
I am as well.
Oh,
I
good,
am.
good. And the rest of you who know Thelma, and when you see her, you have an opportunity, be sure to congratulate her because it's a wonderful thing. So great, thank you. Committee reports. I don't know, there's something going on this weekend. Is there any?
Oh, yeah, so I'll just speak on a couple things. So all of you have heard about the Oak Grove Festival. Hopefully you've seen our flyers, our banners, our lawn signs, our Facebook pages. We have tried to saturate our area with as much information as possible. So we are expecting really great weather, high of 79 degrees, mostly cloudy. This will be a great departure from last year's 90+ degrees on a very hot and sunny day. So we're really hoping for a really good turnout. I'll give you a preview that we have 2 music stages this year, not just one. So we have 8 different music acts, I guess you would call them, this year. They're in each, some of them are local, most of them are local. If you've heard of the band Palante, they are a Latin salsa band that's very well known in our area. They will be playing. Haley Johnson is a local Oak Grove resident, and she is a wonderful singer. and has a nice little band that plays with her. She was a semifinalist on America's Got Talent, as well as some ukulele band that plays over at the Milwaukee Community Center every week. So we're going to have some really good entertainment there. We've heard in previous years that folks couldn't find where the food was and there wasn't quite enough. So this year we're going a little bit crazy with 14 different food carts, food trucks. So if you can't find the food this year, I don't know if I can help you because it's everywhere this year. But we have over 100 vendors who will be there, as well as the fire department's going to be there with their fire truck, which they do every year. So it's just going to be a very nice community event. And the reason we have this is just so everybody can get to see each other and have a nice day and enjoy ourselves and be proud of our community. Moving on, you may know that I'm on the Milwaukee Community Center Advisory Board, and there is an event taking place there on Sunday, this coming Sunday, called Pride Bingo. And if you're familiar with Poison Waters, who worked with Darcel, she will be officiating the bingo game at the center Sunday evening starting at 5. This is a fundraiser for the Meals on Wheels program that is run out of the Milwaukee Community Center. They serve about 350 meals every day out of that center. So this is to help them. You can go to the Milwaukee Community Center Foundation website and buy tickets. I believe those are still available. Thanks, Valerie.
Yeah. Wayne, did you have a?
Yeah, I'm just, perhaps it might be valuable to tell a little bit about what the Oak Grove Community Council location is going to be like.
Well, that's a good question. No.
We shall see.
I know where we're going to be. We're going to be on the south side of Oak Grove Boulevard, just right across from it's on off Arista as it goes through. So where the old Trolley Trail Tavern was, across the street there will be 3 booths in a row that are kind of working together, but that Oak Grove Community Council will be in that area. So I do have a list of people that are interested in helping. Linda, you said that you were interested in coming to help. Is that correct?
Yes, and I need to know where I can park because I'm slightly handicapped. I can't walk blocks and blocks.
Okay.
There is a handicap parking at the United Methodist Church parking lot. So that's right on Southeast Rupert. You'll see there's a few signs that indicate handicap parking, and that is right across the street from the main entrance to the festival.
What time do you need me?
What time can you be there? What time would be good for you? Are you a morning or afternoon?
I prefer morning.
Okay, so if you were to come, it opens at 11. So if you want to come at 11, and I think Pam Horan said that she would be there also at 11, and I will be there at that time. And then,
well, to make sure I get a parking place, I might show up like by 10:30. That'll give me
okay,
time.
well, I can put you to work, so no problem.
As long as it's a sit-down job, I'm okay.
Great. Okay. And so I know Joyce Johnson is taking a shift at the booth, and Wayne Potter is taking a shift. Daniel Dyer Greenside, who's not here tonight, is going to be there in the afternoon. So we have at least one person each, throughout the time. I intend to be there most of the time. So we have some interesting things that are going on. I think we have a big map that will be not upright, but parallel on a table, so that people that come by can locate where they are. And we have some little houses that you're going to be able to put so that your neighborhood, and we can spot where people are from. We have some great signs that we're going to be distributing that say, "I love Oak Grove." We also have an opportunity, people are going to have an opportunity to come in and let us know their favorite businesses in the area. We have one for coffee shops, one for restaurants, one for retail stores, one for just favorite places. And then we are going to let those businesses know that their names were mentioned. We'll send them a certificate from the Oak Grove Community Council. So it's a way of engaging the business community and knowing that people are paying attention to who's here and what's going on. So I think it's going to be fun. We have some refrigerator magnets to give away to people that come by. So there'll be things to do. So the people that are there at the booth, there will be some things for you to be involved in, and we will have an area there with some chairs and a place for people as well. So
Is it a covered area or is it open?
no, it's covered. It's covered. And we're blessed to have it on the south side of the street. Those of us who were at the booth last year, Jane and Marilyn Gottschall and others that were we were cooking. We were on the north side, the sun was coming in, and we were all pretty half baked by the time we left. So we're hoping that being on the north side will be a little easier, even if the sun does come out. So I think it'll be fun. I look forward to having that happen. Wayne, you have another question?
So I don't need to like bring a chair. I don't think, not that I won't have need for it, but
No, I think that we will have those things there so that you can come and participate. And then when your shift is over, are you ready you can wander around and see what's going on in the rest. You don't have to carry a chair around with you. Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing people at the festival. We haven't had that opportunity to see people in person for, we don't get to do that as often anymore. So it will be good to do that. Are there any other committee reports tonight?
I can give a tiny update on CERT team.
Great.
They will also be at the fair. They're not going to be acting as crosswalk assistants this year since Rupert is not going to be closed and there'll be traffic going through there. But they will be there probably in conjunction with the water district again. Perhaps Susan can answer that. And we had instead of a usual training this last month, for the first we had a potluck communal dinner lunch with Milwaukee CERT. So we just all got together at a church facility on Webster Road where we often meet, and we were able to just sit down and talk and get to know one another better, and it was a really good interaction between the CERT active team here and the one in Milwaukee.
Is there anything else from the district advisory committee or Mark, I guess you're the only one here from that needs to be said tonight?
No, I don't think so. Our next meeting is mid-July. It's always open to the public, and everyone's welcome to come to those meetings. They take place at the Water Aquatic Center.
Well, are there any comments from people who are here tonight, or any questions or thoughts about the community that you would like to bring up? Okay. We're all 100% go on our community. I think that's great. Nothing to bring up tonight. And any are there any announcements tonight? This might be a short meeting. Okay. Well, if there are no announcements and no comments people want to make, and I, for one, think that it's perfectly fine to have a shorter meeting, knowing that we're 3 days out from the festival and there's many people here who are doing a lot of things to get ready for that. Our next general meeting will be on July the 24th, and we will be having a visit from my brain is just went blank. Mark, can you help me? It's from the sheriff's office. She's been with us before.
golly, you're on the spot here, but
That's okay. I just went blank.
yeah. Yeah,
So we will
great.
have a sheriff department update at our meeting next month. That's what we have on our agenda right now. And the board meeting will not be until August 5th. So unless there's other comments for the good of the order, I think we can close our meeting for this evening. Anything else?
I just want to say thank you to several of the people here on the screen who are going to be helping at the festival this year. Suzanne, Valerie, Wayne, and Jane. If I forgot anybody, my apologies, but thank you all of you for helping.
Yeah, well, and thank you to Linda and Joyce and others who have volunteered to come and be at our booth on Saturday. I think it'll be fun. All right.
Valerie, one thing I should remind you of, beginning in July, Oak Lodge Water Services has changed their board meeting to the second Tuesday at 4 p.m. instead of the third Tuesday at 6 p.m. So
Okay.
maybe that will allow some people to attend. I'd like to invite you to do that again. Attendance is fairly low and it's not a bad meeting. So I'd suggest that you wouldn't feel badly about coming down to that meeting, and it's in our administrative building there.
I was going to try to make it to the meeting last time and I wasn't at home. So I tried to get in on my phone and I could see people, but I couldn't hear anything. I could get no volume. So if you saw me wink in and out, that's why. I did try. It didn't work.
Thank you for trying anyway.
But I
So-
saw Jane was there, so I was
Yep.
helpful.
I was, but I must say, I do have problems, Susan, getting into that meeting. I know-
And is it, do you have any idea what the problem is? No.
Well, Joseph might be able to answer that because both of us have had an issue in the past, but it requires a special way to log in and you have to do it with an account. You have to put in Google passwords or something. And
Okay. Yeah, but in other words, we need to simplify things,
well,
right?
it's nothing like any Zoom meeting I ever go to. Usually you click on the thing, you go in, and there you are, even if you had to put your email address in. But there are extra steps, and I will always miss the Pledge of Allegiance because I can't get in.
Actually, we're not Fort Knox either, so we perhaps could make an improvement or two on it. I'll take that back. Thank you anyway.
I didn't have any trouble getting to the meeting. I just couldn't hear anything.
Like,
Well, that sounds like a little trouble too, Valerie, so.
Okay. All right.
All
Well,
right.
good night, everyone. We look
Thank
forward to
you.
seeing you on Saturday at the Oak Grove Festival, 11 to 4. Take care.
See you then. Good night.